Despite their best efforts, Volvo wasn't able to keep the wagon alive here in North America. Behind me is the last one they sell, the 2026 V60 Cross Country. Sure, we all love the higher end luxury performance wagons at the top of the market. The RS6 Avant, the M5 Touring, they're immensely capable machines, but why wasn't Volvo able to keep the normal wagons for normal people around here in North America? And we're driving this one currently on a road trip. I'm driving through the Rockies to Calgary to shoot a couple videos and back. Basically, a send-off for the wagon. And while Vancouver to Calgary and back is far from crossing this country, it is a longer drive than Amsterdam to Prague and back, which, yes, includes crossing a country in full. So I'll take that point. As we pass another Volvo V60. Wow, I think she waved at me. All right, we are part of a very enthusiastic group of individuals, and that's a good thing. But Volvo is not the only one. So Audi recently killed the A6 all-road. Okay, that's the lifted A6. The only wagons pretty much left here in North America under $100,000 are this, the V60 Cross Country, and the Mercedes E450 all-terrain, a lifted version of the E450. So why are all these wagons, the only ones left over at least, lifted? It's pretty obvious. Everybody's buying crossovers. For some reason, people, they want to be sitting a little bit higher up. Now, whether that's the illusion of it being safer to be higher up or just the ease of getting in and out, that's the situation. So basically, this cross country is lifted 2.4 inches over the standard V60. Under the hood is the same 2-liter inline-4 turbo. It makes 247 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque. It has an 8-speed auto. It's transverse mounted, so it's a front-wheel drive bias all-wheel drive system, and it has plenty enough grip and space to do everything. That's the whole idea of wagons, is to not compromise driving dynamics, because the center of gravity and the vehicle itself is not very tall. It's very low to the ground, but also they extend way back there into the ether, so you can fit whatever you want into it. From my perspective, from a driving perspective, an enthusiast perspective, they need to be fun to drive. I mean, the main benefit of being lower to the ground is so the driving dynamics are not compromised. And the V60 just doesn't do that all that well. Of course, it's not really supposed to. The cross country is meant to just be able to go wherever you need to go. And it, for the most part, does that. The only drive modes this has in true minimalist Volvo fashion is one. It's called off-road mode. So it will do automatic hill descent control. And then the only other option as far as dynamics go is just to lighten up the steering even more than it already is. It's not that it doesn't drive great. I love the V60. The steering is super sharp. There's just not a whole ton of feel. I wouldn't expect that here, but that's just the case. And then suspension-wise, it is incredibly comfortable. This is a luxury wagon through and through. Just over big bumps, you do just get the sense that the chassis is solid. It's not stiff. There's just a substantial mass here that I can feel, and that's a good thing. It doesn't feel like it's going to fall apart. If I throw it into a corner, it's not giving me a ton of feedback. Selling a wagon cosplaying as a crossover in a last-ditch effort to save this dying breed seems like an obvious move today, but when Volvo launched the original V70 Cross Country in 1997, it was before their first SUV or crossover, the XC90. Volvo's wagon strategy hasn't changed, the market has. If you were expecting a going-away party, a special edition, or a final performance showcase to send off Volvo's last wagon, I'm sure you're just as disappointed as I am. Now, you might be thinking, hey Marcus, Volvo already sold the V60 Polestar. It was an amazing performance wagon. And you'd be right, they did sell it. It just ended production a couple of years ago, but you'd be wrong in saying that it was an unflawed performance wagon. It was a strange contrast between a comfortable, minimalist daily driver, something we've expected from Volvo, and a high-performance wagon where you had to pop the hood to manually adjust the suspension. Not only that, but like this V60, to change gears manually, there's no paddle shifters in that car. You have to shift the gear selector left and right, not forward and back. You can watch my review on that in the description, but it was a little bit strange, a strange contrast. And last year in 2025, the V60 only made up 3% of Volvo's total sales here in North America. But despite that, Volvo's CEO recently stated, "I believe the US market may have gone a bit too far into a single SUV market. I don't think 10 years from now, we will only have SUVs from Volvo." Okay, and he also mentions a generational shift he anticipates happening, in which the younger generation begins to reject the vehicles their parents daily drive, i.e. crossovers, blobbed out crossovers, right? And on one hand, I see that as a potential future, absolutely. But here I am thinking, I grew up in a Volvo wagon. Everybody my age either grew up in minivans or wagons, and wagons are cool again, okay? BMW is selling just as many M5 Tourings as they are M5 sedans here in North America. That blows my mind. In addition to that, minivans in North America are outselling wagons by an order of magnitude that is just, in my brain, almost incomprehensible. The question is, will that enthusiasm from the top of the market end up trickling back down in 5 or 10 years to these normal wagons? Will they become mainstream again? And could Volvo have done something to keep this V60 around for a little bit longer? So what could Volvo have done to keep the V60 around just a little bit longer in today's market? Well, first off, this does get, 7.9 liters per 100 kilometers on average. That's about 26 miles per gallon. It's good fuel economy, but there are hybrids, non-plug-in hybrids, that do much better, that almost double that figure, right? So from where I'm sitting, if I was Volvo, I would have maybe adapted a hybrid system to the V60. Not a plug-in system, just something I don't have to think about as a driver, but that increases fuel economy double or even 50%, right? Pair that with a non-CVT, a real transmission like Toyota's done in the RAV4, and I think they would have pushed themselves into a much more competitive space in the wagon segment. Not really a large segment, so it wouldn't take much to dominate, I don't think. There's that. There's also a few quirks they could have solved. So along this drive, I've encountered a few glitches. First off, I've connected my phone just simply via Bluetooth a bunch of times along this drive, and every time it's disconnected multiple times. It doesn't seem to be very reliable. On top of that, wireless Android Auto or Apple CarPlay is not available. It's wired. That is a complete oversight, especially at this price point, which we'll get to at the end of the video. There is no wireless charging. I've actually never been in a Volvo press vehicle with wireless charging. So that's a huge problem, again, especially at this price point. And then there have been a few other quirks as well. So the seats have a bunch of adjustments, and yesterday I went to extend the thigh extension, right? And it was extending the lumbar instead, where the screen clearly stated and highlighted the thigh extension. No, it was the lumbar I was adjusting. That seemed to solve itself in about 10 or 15 seconds. And then another time, I went to turn on my turn signal, as you do about 1 million times per day, and I forgot to turn it off because the sound had disappeared. It had turned off. And for the next 10 or 15 minutes, that turn signal was not making a sound. Very strange glitch. It again solved itself. And then another problem I had just recently, a totally different driving session, the volume control, where there are actually physical buttons on the steering wheel for that. That's great. Those were working, but the physical volume knob down here wasn't doing anything. So I don't know, software glitches aside. So it's all Google built in, it's easy to use. You've got Google Assistant voice controls, you've got built-in Google Maps, which yes, you can stick in the gauge cluster here. The only options there are just no maps, minimalist, or maps. I love that. And then everything's just easy to use, it's quick to respond. The only thing, the big glaring issue, maybe not for you, but for me, is the lack of physical climate control buttons. There are a few down here, and that's very welcome, but yeah, you've just got to bring up your fan speed through a screen and to adjust your heated seats, ventilated seats. You do have to look down, and there are a couple button presses there, but it's not all bad. As you guys hopefully can tell, I love the V60 Cross Country. Would I prefer a standard V60? Probably. I don't think I would necessarily benefit too much from the additional ride height here. This one's been spec'd with 20-inch wheels too, which is kind of the antithesis of an off-road vehicle. I would want a fatter sidewall, but it looks great. That's besides the point. It's not all bad. The V60 drives amazing. The interior here is exactly what I would expect from a Volvo product. The build quality is awesome. There's stitching, there's real wood in here. This one's been spec'd with the blonde and Napa leather trimmed seats. Volvo does the best seats in the game at this price point. That is not even a question. They've got a ton of adjustments. Like I mentioned, the thigh bolsters, the side bolsters. They have a real massage function. It's so good in here. It's got a crazy glass roof and obviously a ton of space in the back. In fact, more space when the second row is up than an XC60, which to me is the main competitor within Volvo's own ecosystem. That in some ways replaces this, right? But yes, with the seats folded down, the XC60 does benefit from that additional height. There are so many great things to love about it. The 8-speed, it reacts quickly, shifts down, it's smooth, and this one also has a 48-volt mild hybrid system, so the stop-start is very smooth. I mean, the engine starts up like that, you don't even notice it, it's quiet. There's one thing I don't like about this start-stop system though, and this comes back to why I thought, hey, maybe they could have just done a standard hybrid system to increase fuel economy, and that's when I come to a stop at a stoplight, okay? The engine will turn off if you have start-stop enabled at a traffic light, but if you're creeping just very slowly, it will force the engine to shut off while you're still moving, very slightly, but I'm not in control. It will hit the brakes and stop the car. It's a very strange sensation. Most vehicles with start-stop will require your foot to be placed pretty hard on the brake pedal before it will initiate that, just to confirm that, yeah, that's exactly what you want. Whereas here in the Volvo, it becomes invasive. So that could be ironed out, that could be smoothed out. But as far as a daily driver, it's so good. I could do double what we've done. We've driven 3,000 kilometers here. I could do double that easy, you guys. So here in Canada, as spec'd, $73,000, and I think it's worth it. This is $12,000 USD, roughly cheaper than an E450 all-terrain. So yeah, it's not cheap, but it is pretty much the last remaining, or was after this model year, the last remaining normal wagon for like a decent price. Yes, Toyota has the Crown Signia and Subaru has the Outback. Those are kind of the two closest in shape and size and dimensions to a traditional wagon under 100,000, but here it is, V60 Cross Country. I love it. It has its flaws, but I understand why wagons are dying, and I just hope this enthusiasm you guys have and I have for the M5 Touring and those high performance wagons begins to trickle down back into the mainstream in the next 5 or 10 years. We can only hope, we can only pray to make wagons cool again. So subscribe if you haven't already. I have a new podcast. The links will be in the description. We'll see you soon.